Hello, welcome to the Hannah's Knit Cottage Flosstube. This is Flosstube number 3. Today is Saturday, May 23rd, 2026. If you hear noises, that is my dog trying to play. He's found his duck toy under the dining table, so if you hear the squeaks, that's his duck. So I didn't mean to be gone from Flosstube this long. I kind of fell in a cross-stitching slump and then refound my cross-stitching mojo, and then life has happened. It's been busy, but I'm back because I feel like I have a good bit of progress to show. All right, so let's get started with what I have been working on. And if there are a bunch of cuts in this video, my dog is loose playing. If you hear the squeaky toy, that's him playing. So you don't need to see me throwing a duck toy for my dog. Anyways, let's start with what I've been working on. I've made a good bit of progress and I have taken some notes. We're gonna start with my 2 full coverage pieces. This first one has not gotten as much work, but it has gotten a decent amount. This is the mini Lighthouse Cottage from Heaven and Earth Designs, I believe. So I moved my frame over and I've gotten a little bit more over here. If I have a before picture, I will show it. But since you've seen me last, I have completed 171 stitches on this, which is mainly in this area here. And I have added 0.55% onto it. I'm enjoying this one. This one's probably still going to live in timeout for a while. Just some other things I think are closer to a finish and more of my focus right now. And I will get to that in a second. Using a Nerge hoop, this is 14 count, easy count Ada. I got it 1, 2, 3 stitch, I believe. I got one set at 1, 2, 3 stitch and one at Woolmarket Fibers, so either one of those stores you can find it at. And this is a Nerge hoop. All right, the second whip is Born in a Manger, and this artwork is by Donna Gelsinger. I got this for sure on Heaven and Earth Designs. You can see I am parking like crazy. I don't know how I feel about this. This is on a 25 count easy grid Ada that I did get at 1, 2, 3 stitch. And you can see I'm starting to get into the palm tree at the top here. So I've gotten into the palm tree. I'm starting to fill in the very edge of the palm tree here. So since I've seen you last, I've put in 731 stitches on it, which is I have a total of 731 stitches for 0.48% complete, which means I've added 632 stitches or 0.47%. So yeah, we're going. It's chugging along. I am enjoying this. I'm getting used to the 25 count, so I feel like I'm almost to the point where I don't need a light to be able to work on this project. Again, I've got it in a Nerge hoop. These are like the little magnet clips to hold the fabric, but it also will kind of work as a needle minder, so it's holding double duty here. But I'm enjoying it. We'll see. This one, again, because these full coverages have so much left to go on them, they're going to be on the back burner for just a little bit. And I will show you the other things I've been working on that are a little less stitch heavy that I think I'm seeing more progress on. And I need like the dopamine of finishing some things. And I have not finished a lot of cross stitch. I've started a bunch, but I haven't finished a lot. And I think I need that, extra boost. All right, the next piece, this is the works of Jane Austen, and I'm not going to take it out of the frame because I'm still working on it. But this is by Ichabod on Etsy. This is on 14 count easy grid Ada. This one I do feel the urgency to keep working on. A, I'm really close to finishing the first book, which is Sense and Sensibility. But B, I know that easy grid fades after a while. So I want to go ahead and get moving on this so I can hopefully finish it before the easy grid fades. And all of these are being stitched with DMC threads, 2/1. So I've been working in this house. You can see I filled in a good bit of the house. I'm kind of working my way across. And I had this in a scroll frame and I just was never reaching for it. So I was like, you know what, let me see if I can try it in a hoop and see if that works. And that has helped so much. I do think I'm going to keep it in the hoop from now on, or a Q-snap. I've discovered Q-snaps. You'll see a couple whips. I think all the next whips are in Q-snaps, so you'll see. Anyway, so since the last time you've seen it, I have added 456 stitches, which is 2.36% of the pattern, for for a total of 3,845 stitches completed, which brings it up to 19.89%. So really close to 20%. I would love over the summer to get this done. So we'll see. This is a contender to work on over the summer. All right, my next one I worked on, I don't have a stitch count of how much I've done, but this is My Christmas List by Silver Creek Samplers. It is on 18 count Mushroom Ada by Zweigart. And you can see I got the red I needed in here. I have filled in the turkey. I'm almost done. I have a couple little white stitches. I'm going to fill in the car, and there's some snowflakes here, and I'm going to take the remainder of that thread and fill in the white right there. But I'm in the word. I've done family visits, and I've done turkey. I've done the whole word turkey, I think, since the last time you saw, and I'm working on the word dressing. I am thoroughly, look on this side. I'm thoroughly enjoying this project a lot. It has been such a joy. I'm finding that I really like to cross stitch words and letters. That may change, but right now where I'm at, I really enjoy it. If you see me looking that way, my dog is over there. So anyway, I'm really enjoying this, and this is also going to be one of my summer whips, and I'll talk about that in my plans in just a second. I have one thread semi-parked here. I left the B5200 on the back to keep it out of the way, and then I'll bring it over for the snowflakes. I'm sure that's not what you're supposed to do, but that's what I did, because there's all these little snowflakes around, and I was missing a thread color in the car, like right in here. So I finally got that. So hopefully the next time I'll start filling in this car across and then work down. I do have a couple of color substitutions, and I'll put that in the description below. I needed to change, you can't really see it too well, but there's these little brown straps here. I think it's also the color of the tree trunk. That color was too close to my fabric color. And then the brown that they use for the words, and it goes, the whole pattern alternates between blue and brown. And the brown, it showed up, but it wasn't like a stark contrast where it really popped off the fabric. And I wanted that for these words. I didn't want where just the blue popped, because the blue really does have a good contrast. So I picked a deeper brown, but I'll put those modifications in the description. I'll just say the original DMC and then what I substituted with. And all of this is stitched in DMC. So, and I'm, same with the 18 count. At first, I had to have a light to be able to see it, but as long as it's daytime and decent amount of light, especially now that we're having longer days, I'm able to cross stitch this without having to have like a lamp, which is very nice. It makes it much more achievable for me to pull it out. So, and this is in a Q-snap. This was one of the first projects I think I put in a Q-snap, and I like how taut it is. And that's just made a huge difference. I was finding like constantly having to like retighten the Nerge hoop or just any kind of hoop. And the Q-snap's great. I don't ever have to like adjust it. And this size in particular works for this pattern because I can pretty much, this is the whole width of the pattern. So I'm just going to move down my fabric as, you know, I finish down here. I'll kind of shift down, and I think I pretty well can fit a whole page or close to it in just this. So I won't have to move my fabric until I finish that whole chart, the whole page of that chart, and then I can move on. So makes it really nice, and it's easy to hold. This is like the perfect size. So loving this. This has been such a joy, and I was obsessed with this chart from the moment I got it. And so when I struggled when I first started it, that kind of hurt a lot. So restarting it now on better fabric and having a lot more fun with it, it's been great. And having the freedom, I think previous me wouldn't have substituted the colors, and realizing that it's okay to change out thread colors to suit what you need. And then that's okay. I'm not breaking the rules. So that is My Christmas List by Silver Creek Samplers. All right, 2 more whips. I told you, I've been like, I got my stitching bug back. And if you notice, I am wearing my Stardew Valley shirt. I cross-stitched this last year. I went to the Stardew Valley concert in New Orleans. They had an orchestra play Stardew Valley music, and I cross-stitched the little chicken on the shirt so I could have something Stardew Valley to wear. But I was like, I wanted something handmade. I didn't want something store-bought, in the spirit of Stardew Valley. So this next pattern I do have, this is Pride and Prejudice by Love Poppet. It was a collaboration with the Jane Austen Center Last year would have been Jane Austen's like 250th birthday. So Jane Austen is a year older than America, officially. So this was a Christmas gift from my mother-in-law. And one day I came home and I was like, you know, I bet I have the fabric to make this work. And so this is more of that 14 count easy grid Aida. And she gifted me the hoop with the pattern and all the threads at Christmas time. So I've been working on that. And that's been great because I was able, if I didn't have a thread color in my DMC stash, I could just pull it out of the pack. So I was ready to pick up and start. And it has like this cool gradient. And at first I thought that was like a hand-dyed floss, but it is DMC that it's charted to do this fade here. So I'm making decent progress. Again, I don't have this digitally, so I can't tell you exactly how many stitches, but it's going very fast. Again, I did really enjoy stitching the letters. And I think in this area, I can get like 1/4 of the chart. So it's kind of splitting the chart up into 4 quarters. So I'll try and get this quarter done and then shift either down or over and do the next one and slowly get it done. So this one is also going to be a summer whip. I will say there is going to be one thread substitution because if you look here, they're on like more of a cream fabric, kind of off-white. And this is B5200. This is B5200, and that is B5200. You can see on the edge of his sleeve too. And then in here, I think what I'm going to do, all of like the ones that are surrounded by other colors, like the steps, the windows, the letter, I'm going to leave as B5200, I think. Probably what I will do when I finish this is come on down and go straight to work on Mr. Darcy. And see what color I can pull here. I was thinking about doing ecru, and I think that might contrast enough because you can see it's still not a crazy high contrast between the fabric and the edge of his shirt. There is some contrast, but not major. So we're gonna try ecru and see if that works. And I'll probably use that to determine what I do with the rest of it. And making sure that like in here and in his pants and all of that, that color is going to work. And it's not going to blend in with his skin color because I don't want him to look like one giant peach blob. Anyway, so we'll see how that goes. That might be a holdup on this project, but we'll see. We'll play around with it. I mean, he looks good with a white shirt, so I need to do something in that family. If you have any suggestions below, let me know. But for right now, I think I'm going to try ecru. All right, this is the last whip, but it's also like whip and acquisition. So we're going to start with acquisitions and then go into this last whip. So since last time I've seen you, I fell down a cross stitch rabbit hole and definitely got the stitchy bug back. So I 1 2 3 Stitch had a sale, and it was like a sale on holiday patterns or themed patterns. And there was there's one pattern in particular I was kind of obsessed with, but there's several, so I probably will go and get the remainder of a lot of these. But I went ahead, forgive the loud crinkling. While they were having a sale, I went ahead, I knew I needed to grab a cross stitch pattern for my secret palette church. So what I would like to do is cross stitch like something small because it has to be achievable for me to get done this year, but something small for my secret pal at church. She really likes angels. She does love Christmas, I know. Very like loves retro vintage things. Like when I say retro vintage though, like think 90s Christmas kind of, not, and that's not really vintage, I guess, because I'm not vintage yet. But so my secret pal, she likes things that are very like, her style, I would say, is like 80s, 90s, kind of Christmassy. Think lots of tans, dark greens, dark kind of reds, burgundy reds, kind of that to me is her vibe. Very crafty home, 90s era. So I wanted something that would fit her, but be small enough for me to achieve. And I know she loves angels. She was very clear if she didn't want anything like just kind of random odds and ends in her house. So I figured something like handmade, small, petite would be perfect. So when I found this chart, I knew it had to be her. Joy to the World. This is by Primrose Cottage. There it is. And it's a very small chart. This chart is 60 by 51. So I was able to get a piece of fabric that will hold 2 copies of this. So I can stitch this twice on the same fabric. And my goal is to stitch one for her and stitch one for my house. And I'm going to see about trying to get this frame because the frame is awesome too. And I think the frame really helps with this shape because, I mean, you could, I guess, do like a circle or a square frame, but you would have a lot of dead space in this area here. Whereas this Manger frame just is perfect. So I've got a piece of 14 count vintage country mocha Ada, and I've already started here. I've used the DMC, I believe that's called for on everything. The only negative I will say on this chart, and I don't want to show away too much of the chart. Let me see if I can do it this way. So if you look at the top right here, I don't want to lower it too much, but you see it has the symbol and then it says Snow Queen. That is the, what threads are these? I think these are hand-dyed threads. I don't even know what, it doesn't even say what brand hand-dyed on here. But those are all hand-dyed. So then you have to go to the back and find the DMC conversion. So I wish that in the pattern it had like the hand-dyed / whatever the DMC was. And I know like they don't have to do that. They want you to use the fancy floss. So I know they don't have to do that. Like they can just say like, you know, we use the fancy floss. And it's not that much of a pain because the chart is so small. But if this chart was bigger, that would be a big problem. So that's my only negative to say about this chart. Otherwise, love it. Having the best time ever. You can see I've got the kind of outline of the Manger here done. I finished Mary. She's completely done, I believe. I'm starting to work on the Manger and I'm working up the Manger, and then I'm gonna take, they have like a straw color down here, so I'll have to fill in the straw all the way up on the Manger and then do the stars, Joseph, and then the Joy to the World. It really is gonna go fast. I think there might be like about 1,000 stitches in this. I'm not for sure. And then what I'll do is I have this fabric up here. I'll cross stitch it a second time. And this gives me a pretty good margin too. Really enjoying the vintage country mocha. I've seen a lot of people use this fabric and I've always wondered like in person, like you can see it on camera. It doesn't always mean that's what it looks like in person. But I'm really enjoying it. It's nice. I could definitely see myself using this again and again. So that was the first thing I bought, but I also there was another chart I had to buy and it's on blue fabric. I haven't started this one yet, but this is 14 count Icon Ada. Is this not beautiful? And I had to put this on the blue fabric. I think this is the more modeled side, which I will probably use. I also appreciate when I got this fabric from them, they already serged it for me. Like, hello, that was very nice of them. Thank you. That was, and you can see it's small. I'm realizing I like to stitch the smalls, and I like the idea of like getting through things a little faster. And I think I need some of these projects to kind of break up the big giant full coverage pieces. So what I got, I've seen this for a long time. I was like, I have to. This has to be like my summer project. Sweet Wing Studio, Taste and See. So it's a little blueberry pie. Of course, you have the blue fabric. Mine's a little lighter, I think, than the model, but I think it will work just fine. So taste and see that the Lord is good. And you have the blueberries, you got all of this. And hers as well has, they do some DMC and some Forbidden Fiber Co. The stitch count is 80 by 59, so it's not going to be very big either. And hers, the chart is separate, so you would just have the chart and then have this sit to the side. And the scripture on the back is taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the one who takes refuge in him. Psalms 34:8. So I've been looking at a lot of her patterns. So after I stitch this one, or at least start it and see what I think about it, we'll see. I could see myself getting some more of her patterns because they're really cute. So I maybe should have gone slightly darker on the fabric, but I think it's still going to work just fine. I think the white will still pop. You can see the white serger thread. You can still, it looks a little less contrast here, but it is, in real life, it's popping just fine. It's early in the morning, so all the daylight is like right here at this window. But later on today, there's supposed to be some storms coming through. So if I wanted any light to film, this was the moment. So yeah, that was my other acquisition. So let's talk about my plans. Summer break is approaching, and I have a really cool plan. So I have this pulled up on my laptop right here. And I will put these on the screen so you can see. But for my summer, what I was thinking is, what is like a small achievable goal I can do? I'm seeing a bunch of people do like the Tour de France and things like that, and that's great. But the way the dates fall for a lot of these things, it doesn't always work. So like people are starting challenges on Memorial Day, but I still go to work. Our school year doesn't end until early June. And then Tour de France starts early July, so I'm out of school, but it ends the end of July, and we're already back in school by then because we're kind of on the year-round calendar. So we have a lot of breaks in the middle, but not a long summer break. We'll get a little bit longer next year, but this year I think we have like 6 weeks or something like that. So it goes by quick. So like, what is something I could do in that summer break? Something small that wouldn't take up too much of my day, because I still do like to knit. I want to sew, do some different things. So what could I do? So there was a show I watched back when I was a kid. This is going to be really random and obscure, but it was Iron Chef, but not Iron Chef America, like the original Iron Chef that aired in Japan, the first one that was created. So Iron Chef, I'm going to call it Iron Chef Japan, but that aired in Japan, and I think it was like Fuji Television, I believe. No, it was Filmrise. I think Fuji was connected to it, but Filmrise were like the people who put it out, and they have the rights to it. So then it got dubbed in English and aired in America in the late 90s, early 2000s on Food Network, and then later on the Cooking Channel. And then after it dropped off the Cooking Channel, Food Network had done a spinoff of Iron Chef America. They did the next Iron Chef, did all these different spinoffs, and it was, pretty successful from what I know. But after that, the licensing rights just kind of dropped off in the US. And so like nobody could find it. Like it was weird. So recently the Filmrise has put all of the episodes up on YouTube for free, which is great. They're in, I think, the order that they aired in America, and not necessarily the order that they aired in Japan. So some things are out of sync. If you don't know the premise of the show, I should probably start with that. Basically, every episode, there is a challenger that comes in, and they get to challenge one of the Iron Chefs, and they go head to head in a cooking battle. They have an hour to cook and present, in Japan, as many dishes as they choose. So it could be anywhere from like 2 dishes to sometimes 6, I've seen. And then they're judged, and they're not necessarily judged on the quantity, they're judged on the quality, and they have a secret ingredient each episode that is top secret. From what I've heard, like they were basically, all the chefs were sent like 2 or 3 options so they could kind of get their mind wrapped around some things and have a game plan of what to do with that hour, because it goes so quick, but they wouldn't know which one was picked until like it aired on the show, like when they, filmed it. Anyway, so they have an hour to cook with the secret ingredient, and then they have judges. They have a couple judges that say the same, and then they'll have like a celebrity guest judge come in. And these are Japanese celebrities, so like they're a big deal to Japan, but obviously we never knew who most of these people were. Certainly not me, because I would have been a small child at the time. Anyway, so what my goal is, the Iron Chefs, they have typically 4 Iron Chefs. They have a Japanese Iron Chef, French, Chinese, and Italian. Throughout the show, the representative Iron Chef for each cuisine, like it was a Japanese chef who had studied that particular cuisine and was considered an expert, it will rotate out. So like, for instance, the Japanese Iron Chef started off as, I just know them by their last names because that's what they would have called them in Japan, but they had Iron Chef Michiba, who then was, what was his name? Then second Japanese Iron Chef was Nakamura. And the third one was Masaharu Morimoto, who later went on to Iron Chef America. And he was Japanese, but had studied in America as well. And he, I think, still has restaurants in like New York City and stuff. So anyway, so what my goal was is that each episode, I'll try to like watch like an episode a day, and they're about 41 minutes, like 41 and a half. I was looking, and they're pretty like all like 41 and a half minutes consistently within like a second or two. So that means I have that much time. I can watch the intro of the episode and find out what the Iron Chef and the secret ingredient are. And then I'll have probably about 30 minutes to cross stitch of the episode. And most of these I have seen before. I may not remember all of them, but since I've seen them before, what I'll do is once they announce the Iron Chef, that's the cross stitch whip I'll pick, and then I'll work on that through the remainder of the episode. And then I get to watch a show like straight through. I've always wanted to just plan time to just binge the whole show. There's about 309 episodes from what I've seen. I've seen like there's like 290 of the traditional format, and they did some like specials after the show stopped airing like traditional seasons at the end. So I'm going to go through the whips. If the challenger is an American, because this year is America's 250th birthday, the challenger is American, no matter what Iron Chef is picked, I'm going to work on a patriotic piece. So we'll start with that one. The pull for an American challenger is One Nation by Bygone Stitches. This I leave subject to change if I decide I'm ready to start Lady of the Flag. Honestly, I'm a little intimidated by Lady of the Flag, if we're being honest. It's such a rare chart, and I've got really nice fabric to put it on. I've got like the Declaration of Independence to put her on. So like, there's no messing that. Like I'm sure I could get another piece of fabric, but I don't want to mess it up. So for right now, we're going to stick with One Nation. So my goal, I think, is going to be to try, I'll show you where I'm at first. This one I had in a Q-snap, and I stole its Q-snap for, I believe, the Born in a Manger. Not Born in a Manger. I'm sorry, Joy to the World. So it's a little baby start. And this piece of fabric is huge. This is on 18 count Old Library Marble by Fabric Flair. So Fabric Flair is a printed fabric, so the back is nothing, and the front has all the print. So you can see, I guess I parked this thread, but you can see I've just got a little baby start. So my goal would be to work across here, and get a bunch of these done, so then I can do like one white star, do a state, white star, do a state, and work across that way. And I think that will help break up, because the stars are not fun to stitch. Like, it's just a lot of counting, and it's the same shape but all different sides and angles, and that is kind of not fun. It's a little difficult. So we'll see. I've obviously not got a very big start on this. So that is if we have an American challenger. If I like this enough, maybe I'll go watch Iron Chef America and just do all patriotic pieces. I don't know. We'll see. To me, the Japanese version of the show is the best. Like, it is. And also because it is in Japan, they use a lot of ingredients that aren't common in America. So it's interesting to watch and to see. And the threads I'm using for One Nation, we've got, if I can get it out. I grabbed the red. I haven't used any red yet, so I don't have it readily available. So for my white, we have Weeks Dye Works. I think for all of these, I have whitewash for white. Let me see if I can get that where you can see it. We have whitewash for the white. For blue, we have Michael's Navy. And for red, oops, if I didn't drop it. For red, we have Liberty. So, I would really like to get some work on this project. It's America's 250th, and obviously this is the time for this project to get worked on and get done. And once we get past July 4th, I feel like I'm going to lose some steam on this. So I want to go ahead and get it knocked out. The goal is these are all projects that, like, at this specific moment in time, I really would like to go ahead and get progress on. Let me look at my list here. For Iron Chef Japanese, because I know in the show Iron Chef Japanese gets picked a lot because a lot of the challengers, especially in the early episodes, are Japanese. They're from Japan. So they want to go head to head with a Japanese chef, like the same cuisine style. And even like if there are chefs from other countries that come in, sometimes they want to go head to head with the Japanese chef too because they're in Japan. So it's kind of like the mix of the two cuisines. So with that, I chose Joy to the World because this one has the soonest deadline. It's the only one I have with a definite deadline. So we're going to get working on this. I have a feeling it's going to get pulled a lot. After it is done, I have some options of whips. I'm thinking that Taste and See might come up. That might be the one because I'm pretty confident I will get this done this summer, especially if I stick to the Iron Chef regiment every day. And I may just do weekdays, honestly. I don't know. I'll play around with it and see what works for my schedule and my routine. So for Iron Chef Chinese, I picked Works of Jane Austen. So this one, it needs to get some work too. Chin Kenichi is the Iron Chef Chinese for the entire show. He's the only one I think that stuck out the entire series and never retired. So this one I want to get a lot of work done on. I would love to finish Sense and Sensibility like a year and a half after I started it and go ahead because obviously there's like 4 more books I need to do on this one. So that's Works of Jane Austen. We already talked about that one before. For Iron Chef Italian, that would be Kobe. He also did not change, but he was not around for the beginning of the series. For Kobe, we're doing my Christmas list. Again, this one, I would love to have this hanging up in my house this Christmas, and I definitely am extremely motivated to work on it. I could see myself, if I finish Joy to the World, I could see myself putting this one in the Japanese slot and putting something else up there, especially if Iron Chef Japanese gets picked, because Italian does not get picked that much, just because he came on later in the show and just kind of how the cookie crumbled. And he also was not at every filming, so like they would have, even in the midst of a season, like he just wouldn't be there for an option some weeks. So we'll see. This one might get moved too. And then the last one, I'm sorry, I goofed. This is Iron Chef French. Iron Chef French is my Christmas list. So this one will be fine. This will be fine. The next one I might move because I also would like to have it done too this year. For Iron Chef Italian, it's going to be, let me get it out of the frame here, Pride and Prejudice. So if you notice, the only one that is like the 2 massive whips, you've got Works of Jane Austen and my Christmas list. I'm not counting One Nation because like that one's just going to stay. It's patriotic. Like all of my patriotic whips are huge. But I've got a couple of smaller ones, and this one is small enough too. Depending on how much Iron Chef Italian gets picked, we'll see. If I'm really motivated to finish this, I may bump this over to Iron Chef Japanese after Joy to the World is done, and then bump Taste and See to Iron Chef Italian. We'll see. So I don't know. I'm going to see if I can make like I have a little document made. I'll try and put it on the screen here to like my tracker. I have June. I'm probably going to go ahead and put May because I think I want to go ahead and watch an episode of Iron Chef because I have all the things out here now. Watch an episode of Iron Chef and do my first Iron Chef pull. I do know, spoiler, if you don't want to know, just mute me for about 5 seconds. The first episode, I do know, pulls Iron Chef Japanese. So, I will be working on Joy to the World for the first episode. So I'll have like a good 30 minutes. I might go ahead and just do that today and see where we're at in that whip because I know I can make a lot of progress in 30 minutes on that one. So we'll see. I'll see if I can make if you are interested in the Iron Chef template, comment below. If you're not, no worries. Everybody has their own taste in TV shows. I encourage you, this was kind of inspired by the Great British Bake Off cross-stitch challenge that people did. The whole idea of tracking like who got a handshake, who did the best in technical, like those are all great. And if I was exclusively cross-stitching and not doing any other crafts, I probably would be okay with that, just with my routine and my schedule. But with me wanting to knit and do other things and obviously record other knitting podcasts and editing, and still having a puppy who is trying to shoot everything right now while I'm filming. He's laying on the couch. He's officially big enough now he can jump on the couch, but he's too scared to jump down off the couch. So if he whines in a second, it means he's scared to get off the couch, but he wants to be off the couch. So with all of that going on, I don't know that I could keep track of all of that. So the idea was to just bring it to this most common denominator of something. And that could be, I mean, you could take that with a lot of shows. So if you have another show idea, if you think that would work similarly to this, put it in the comments below. Thank you if you watched this. I'm sorry I was gone for like 3 months. Did not intend to do that. It should not be 3 months between now and my next episode, because from the last episode was right before we got Oliver. And now he's starting to settle down a little bit as I'm watching him chew a blanket. He looks perpetually guilty. Anytime you call his name, the look he gives you is like, it's not me. I didn't do it. Anyway, so thank you so much for watching this episode. I should be back. I probably will do these like once a month. I don't think I'm going to cross stitch enough to warrant an episode every 2 weeks, but I am going to try to have some things in the middle. So if you're here for the knitting and the cross stitch and all of that, I greatly appreciate you for watching and taking the time out of your day to watch my humble ramblings on the internet. Anyway, hope you're having a good day. Hope you're enjoying the summer and it's not too hot where you live yet. It's definitely hot here. I hope you're enjoying it, enjoying your stitching, and I'll see you hopefully probably the end of June or early July. Anyway, happy stitching. God bless you. Bye.